Why do the people who followed all the rules end up working for the people who broke the pattern? Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell. They all have one thing in common. They dropped out of college. We are taught that getting good grades leads to a good job, and a good job leads to wealth. But the data from the Forbes billionaires list suggests a different pattern. The wealthiest people in the world often did not follow the standard academic path. I believe this is because the school system creates a specific psychological pattern I call the obedience trap. To understand why 99% of people never achieve financial freedom, we have to look at the history of the education system. History shows that the modern school system was not designed to create entrepreneurs. It was designed in the early 20th century to create factory workers. In 1902, John D. Rockefeller founded the General Education Board. The stated goal was to support education. However, the economic demand at that time was for reliable workers who could follow instructions on an assembly line. The economy needed people who would show up on time, do exactly what they were told, and not ask questions. The school system was built to meet this demand. This system installs 3 dangerous habits that I believe destroy your ability to build wealth. The first habit is the permission trap. In school, you cannot speak, you cannot move, and you cannot even use the restroom without permission from an authority figure. You are trained to wait for authorization before taking any action. In the real world of business and investing, no one will give you permission to start. No one will tell you it is time to buy a stock or start a company. If you wait for permission, you will wait forever. The second dangerous habit is the perfectionism trap. In school, failure is punished. If you get an F, it is a source of shame. You are taught that you must get the answer right the first time, and there is only one right answer. However, in entrepreneurship and investing, failure is not an end. It is data. The most successful people, like the billionaires we saw earlier, view failure as the cost of research and development. The school system trains you to fear the very thing that is required for success. And there are numerous ways to solve a single complex real-world problem. The third habit is the belief in linear rewards. You're taught that if you study for 1 hour and memorize the single perspective material from a decades-old textbook, one that hasn't been updated and can't possibly keep up with rapid technological advances and new discoveries, you'll get a certain grade. Input equals output. Real wealth, however, is non-linear. You can work 5 years on a business, earn nothing, and then in year 6 make millions. The A student struggles with this disconnect because they've been trained to follow predefined rules and expect immediate rewards for effort. This training creates the perfect employee, someone who waits for instructions, fears making mistakes, and expects a steady paycheck in exchange for their time. This is what I call the wage cage. And this leads us to the most brilliant and trap mechanism of the entire system, the golden handcuffs. The system is economically designed to pay high-performing A students just enough money. They pay you just enough to afford a nice car, a mortgage, and a comfortable lifestyle. But they never pay you enough to buy your freedom. This ensures that you must keep coming back to work, day after day, for 40 years. If they paid you less, you would quit. If they paid you more, you would retire early. The salary is calibrated to keep you in the seat. And if you think this only applies to employees, think again. This obedience trap affects how you invest your money in the markets as well. Most people invest obediently. They buy when the news tells them the economy is good, which is usually when prices are high. And they sell when the news tells them the economy is bad, which is when prices are low. They are obeying the authority of the herd. The A student wants to be correct, they want to be in consensus. But in the financial markets, if you do what everyone else does, you get the same results as everyone else. And the average result is mediocrity. So if the school system trained you to be poor, how do you retrain yourself to be rich? How do you uninstall the employee operating system and install the sovereign operating system? It starts by understanding the mindset of the few who escaped. We need to analyze the billionaires not as lucky anomalies, but as people who played a completely different game. The first trait of the sovereign operating system is the refusal to accept the default premise. In school, if you question the teacher, you are disruptive. In the economy, if you question the market, you are innovative. The A student asks, how do I get an A on this test? The sovereign asks, why are we taking this test? Why is this the standard? Is there a better way to solve this problem? This is often called first principles thinking. Instead of reasoning by analogy, doing what everyone else is doing because it's normal, the wealthy break problems down to their fundamental truths. They do not wait for a syllabus. They write their own. While the obedient employee tries to win the game by following the rules, the sovereign realizes that the game itself might be rigged and chooses to play a different game entirely. The second trait is a complete rewiring of the relationship with failure. As we discussed, the school system treats failure as a permanent stain on your record. But in the world of building wealth, failure is simply the feedback mechanism of reality. James Dyson failed 5,126 times before he invented his bagless vacuum. If he had stopped at failure number 5,000, he would be unknown. Because he viewed failure as data, not as a character flaw. He became a billionaire. The sovereign knows that you only have to be right once to make up for 1,000 mistakes. This brings us to the third, and perhaps most important trait, the understanding of leverage and asymmetry. The obedience trap teaches you to trade time for money. You work 1 hour, you get paid for 1 hour. This is a linear equation, but it is limited. You only have 24 hours in a day. The sovereign seeks leverage. They use AI, media, capital, or other people's labor to disconnect their inputs from their outputs. They write a piece of software once, and it sells 1,000,000 times while they sleep. This is the concept of asymmetry. You risk a small amount of time or money to build something that has an unlimited upside. The employee risks their entire life's time for a capped upside. Now, understand this. Shifting from the employee mindset to this sovereign mindset is not easy. It requires you to fight against years of conditioning. It requires a specific strategy to handle the psychological pressure of leaving the herd. I realize that most people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they lack the mental framework to handle the transition. That is why I wrote The Last to Leave the Circle. This isn't just a finance book. It is a breakdown of the specific mental models used by history's greatest winners, Buffett, Bezos, Jobs, to survive the pressure and win the long game. It explains exactly how to master the circle of asymmetric bets we just talked about. If you are serious about installing this new operating system, you can scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to grab a copy on Amazon. Now, once you have the mindset, you need the tactics. How do you actually escape the trap without going broke in the process? This leads us to the Great Unlearning. The Great Unlearning is the process of identifying the specific scripts the system installed in your head and deleting them one by one. The first script to delete is the idea that money is scarce. The system teaches you to save and to fear running out of money. This is a defensive strategy. The sovereign understands that money is abundant. Central banks print trillions of it. The economy circulates trillions of it every day. The problem is not a lack of money. The problem is a lack of solutions that attract money. To get rich, you must stop thinking about how to get money and start thinking about how to solve problems. Money flows to value. If you solve a big complex problem, the money will find you. The school system taught you to be an obedient dependent, to ask for a job, ask for a raise, ask for permission. The sovereign is a solver. They find a big complex problem, they fix it, and the world rewards them with massive net worths for the immense value they have provided. The second script you must delete is the definition of risk. The system tells you that starting a business is risky, and having a job is safe. I believe the math proves the exact opposite. If you have a job, you have a single point of failure. If your boss fires you, your income goes to zero instantly. That is the definition of a high-risk trade. You are betting your entire livelihood on that single point. The sovereign, or the entrepreneur, has a diversified income. If they lose one client, or if one investment underperforms, they still have 99 others paying them. They have built a safety net of multiple income streams. To be safe, you must be independent. The third script to delete is time is money. This is the lie that keeps you in the middle class. If you trade time for money, your income is mathematically capped because your time is limited. The wealthy do not work for money. Their assets work for them. They buy or build systems that generate cash flow without their physical presence. Now, I want to be very clear. I am not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. That would be reckless. That is not what a strategist does. I recommend using what I call the bridge strategy. You use your 9-to-5 job as your primary investor. You use the salary from your day job to fund your estate at night. You live below your means. You take the surplus capital from your job and you pour it into building your side business or your investment portfolio. You do not quit until your side income exceeds your job income. You build the bridge while you are still walking on the solid ground. This takes patience. It takes discipline. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It respects the law of compounding. The system was designed to keep you obedient. It was designed to keep you dependent. But the door to the cage is unlocked. It has always been unlocked. The only thing keeping you inside is the story you have been told about what is safe and what is risky. You can choose to stay in the comfort of the known, or you can choose to step into the discomfort of growth. The choice is yours. But remember, the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to leave. If you are ready to stop waiting and start building, the last to leave the circle is your blueprint. It details the specific psychological and tactical shifts used by famous billionaires throughout history. You can find the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right now. Do not just watch this video and do nothing. Take the first step. Since you've stuck around till the end of this video, it's clear that you found this topic intriguing, and I think you'll definitely want to check out the videos popping up on your screen now. They explore even more fascinating topics in finance that might just challenge your perspective. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos that break down complex and foundational topics in finance. Thanks for watching.